Hey guys, Brandon BYOTools, aka BYOT. Thank you for joining me, and today we're going to be making some beautiful mahogany shelves. Yes, if you have never worked with mahogany, this will be a process from start to finish, so please keep on watching. Let's get started. And just like any other good woodworking project, it always starts off at the lumber yard. Yes, this is my local lumber yard, which has a vast variety of different woods, but today we will be purchasing some S4S mahogany. And if you don't know what S4S means, it means that it's surfaced on four sides. So nice thing about that, it's very dimensional lumber that we don't have to do a lot of work to, which is important with this project. Now these shelves have to be a specific length as well as depth due to the fact that they are going to be going into a restaurant, and I'm going to be first marking them out. I've given myself a little bit of extra length because I'm going to glue them up first and then cut them down to size. Now once I have all my material cut to the proper length, I then proceed to prepping out my work surface, grabbing my trusty pipe clamps, and actually putting a bit of tape on top of the pipe clamp itself. This will just allow me to make sure that when I do glue these boards into place, they are not also being glued to the pipe clamps themselves. It makes it quick and easy cleanup, which I can always appreciate it, right? Yeah. Now applying a nice fat bead of glue to both sides of the board is important, but what's even more important is making sure you have even coverage over the entire surface. You want to make sure you don't have any bare spots that do not have glue, which is why I'm using a nice little roller to apply and make sure that the glue is spread appropriately. Now I'm using tight bond glue for this wood project because I want a tight bond. Yeah, get it? So good. No, not really. But it is a great wood glue, and inevitably, I generally always prefer to leave my glue laid up and clamped overnight, or at least 24 hours, just due to the fact that I want to make sure that we have good adhesion and it is fully cured. Now the beauty about having a planer is that it makes quick work of any woodworking project in this type of application. I'm able to pass every single board through quickly and easily for the most part, and that just takes care of all the miscellaneous sanding that I would have to do by hand. So it definitely saves some time and energy. If you don't have one, don't worry about it because it just adds to the fact that you need to do a little extra hand sanding at this point. But still very doable. Now pass each board through approximately 5 times on each side, making sure that the top and bottom both have a perfect, even, smooth finish. Now both the top and bottom of these boards will be very visible in this restaurant, so I want to make sure each one gets a little attention. Yes. Now, like I noted earlier, I did leave these boards slightly longer than needed because I wanted to make sure I cut them down after they were glued up, making sure I had a perfect, even end on both the left and the right side. And of course, the old adage that comes into play here is measure twice, cut once. This is definitely important, especially when you're working with expensive materials like mahogany. Yes, this board would be quite expensive just to throw away if I did not cut it to the proper length, but luckily for me, this is a pretty simplistic cut, and we were able to surpass any mega issues by making sure that they were all the appropriate length. So, just note to self. Now once I had all my boards cut to the proper length, I then proceeded to grab my orbital sander and start sanding away on both the ends as well as the top and bottom eventually. Now I'm going from 100 grit all the way back up to 240, making sure that each pass is even and consistent all the way through. Now, as you all know, sanding is a very vital step to making sure that the finish is to the proper feel and touch that you want. So making sure that you put your due diligence in at this point is vital to the end-all be-all product. Now, I also did grab a sanding block and just knock down the ends slightly just because I wanted a nice even feel, and they were a little too sharp to the touch at first. So just wanted to note that before I proceeded further. Once the sanding was complete, I then took some mineral spirits and wiped down the surface, and then took a tack cloth and wiped it after that. So if you do only use mineral spirits, you really won't get up everything, as you can see from my hands right there. Yeah, that's pretty excessive. Now for this project, we'll be using one of my favorite finishes, which is the General Finish Arm-R-Seal Oil and Urethane Topcoat Satin Finish. Yes, that's quite the mouthful, but inevitably it is a beautiful finish that always turns out amazing, as well as is very durable. I applied the finish with a foam brush evenly and consistently, not putting too much on where it's dripping excessively, but enough where it's going to be coating the board quite vigorously. Is vigorous the right terminology in this application? I don't know, but we'll just go with it, right? Yeah, just go with it. Now I apply finish to the top as well as to all the sides of each board, making sure each board gets consistent coverage. Now you do not want to let this dry overnight. This is not that type of finish. You want to make sure that you wipe off any excess within a good 5 to 10 minute period. So after I apply the finish to all the tops as well as the sides, I then go back to the very beginning of the board that I started with and wipe off any excess with a clean, lint-free cloth. Now trust me, this is a vital step when actually making sure the finish comes out correctly, because if you do not wipe off the excess, it becomes extremely tacky and you'll probably just have to sand it off and start over again. So just note to self. As you can see there, once I did wipe off any of the excess on the top, I then flipped the boards over and did the same thing to the bottom, making sure that all the bottoms received even coverage overall. I let the finish dry overnight and then grabbed a very fine sanding sponge and sanded off any of the excess finish or slight burrs that are on the finish that are not making the finish as smooth as possible. I want this as smooth as a baby's ass. That did not sound appropriate, but we'll just go with it, and you can just forget that I said that, right? Yes. I grab a tack cloth and remove any of the dust particles that are left behind from the sanding, and then apply a second coat of finish just like I did before. Same process, making sure even coverage overall and making sure you wipe up the excess finish in a timely manner. Now after I apply 3 coats of finish, I let the shelves sit and relax while I mess with the corbels. Yes, these are the corbels which will be supporting the shelves. But first, they look very different than mahogany because they are not mahogany, which is why we need to prep them, sand them, and stain them. I first grab my orbital sander and sand off all the ends and the sides because I want to make sure that it is smooth to the touch, which they did not come, unfortunately. I then proceeded to grab some mineral spirits and wipe off any of the loose debris particles, and after it was dried, I grabbed my Varathane wood stain, and the stain that I found that actually matched best was the American walnut. Yeah, American walnut apparently looks a lot like mahogany because the stain actually, in all honesty, turned out quite well and was almost a perfect match to the mahogany wood that I used. So just note to self, American walnut, mahogany. Yes, I like it. Now you can apply the stain with a lint-free cloth or a foam brush. Both worked for me, and I did not let the stain sit for very long. I applied it to all sides, let it sit for a couple minutes, and then removed the excess with a clean cloth. Then set it aside and moved on to the next. Now once my wood stain was fully dried, I then grabbed my Arm-R-Seal finish and applied the finish to all sides. Now you don't have to apply 3 coats if you don't feel like it, but inevitably I applied 2 coats of the finish to the corbels themselves. Now for the third and final coat on these shelves, I did apply a very thin layer of finish. I only applied it to a lint-free cloth and wiped the wood with the lint-free cloth evenly and consistently, and then proceeded to remove any of the excess immediately. This way I could avoid any drips or finish running down the side if I'm using a very small quantity on a rag. So now that the wood is done and looking beautiful, it is time for the next step. It's time for metal. Yeah, and you might be asking yourself, why are we working with metal all of a sudden? Well, there's a bracket system where the corbel is going to be attached to metal plates, and the metal plates will be the items that are going to be attached to the wall. Now, we are doing this because we need to match the metal that's already existing in the restaurant, and you know what? It's a pretty simple ask, so it actually makes things a little bit easier in some aspects a little bit harder. So just note that if you don't like the metal, don't worry about it. You don't have to use it. Note to self is that brake part cleaner is incredible degreaser, which is a all of a sudden helpful tip for me because I've never knew it. This brake cleaner degreaser is incredible. This metal had a ton of gunk on it, and with a couple spurts, this metal was shined up perfectly, and it was so easy to remove all the excess dirt and debris and filth that was on this metal already. So hopefully that helps someone. My first mark on this metal is going to be just a center line because I want to make sure I have the dead nut center on this piece of metal because we're going to be drilling holes through it for our fasteners. Now the tricky part about marking our hole locations is that you have to account for holes for the fasteners that are going into the wall, but you also have to account for holes that are going to be going into the corbels because we're going to have 2 screws going in on the back end into the corbels for corbel support. Then we're going to have 4 fasteners on each bracket that are going to be going into the wall. That will ensure that we have proper support for this whole system. Now, as you can see, I am utilizing a drill press for this application because we are drilling multiple holes in metal, and this takes some time and energy, and a drill press definitely is a time saver, as well as the fact that you get a very precise hole when you're drilling. So drill press, key if you're drilling multiple holes in metal. The drill bit that I'm using is a Cobalt 1/4 inch drill bit that worked perfectly for this application and could cut through multiple thick pieces of metal at the same time. Now, after I had the one plate fully drilled in precise holes, I was able to then just clamp it down on the other 4 brackets and then drill all 3 at the same time. That definitely saves some time and energy. You just need to make sure you take your time when doing so. You cannot rush drilling through metal. Just, things tend not to work out when you try and rush drilling through metal. Just saying. Now, once all your holes are drilled, you can proceed to making sure that you have degreased the metal completely before you prime it. Now, as you will see in the outtakes, I should have probably scored the surface prior to applying the Topcoat primer, but you'll have to wait to see that till the very end. Yeah. Now I'm applying a matte black finish to this metal on all sides, which is why I also need to apply primer to all sides of the metal as well. I need to make sure that I'm applying even, consistent coats in order to avoid any runs or drips that is definitely not needed or wanted at this point. And as always, I'll be leaving a link in the description box below on where to purchase all these items if you do want to. Now, one thing I did not think about when drilling my holes previously is that I needed to countersink the backside of the holes. And we need to do this because we want the metal plate to lay flush against the wall. And if we don't do this, then it will be off 1/8 of an inch. So inevitably, yes, something that most people wouldn't think about or realize, but I will strive for perfection when possible. So I am countersinking all my holes on the back end, and just as a visual perspective, isn't slow motion beautiful sometimes? Yeah. Even if it's smoking. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but we'll just go with it. Now, once all the holes are actually drilled, I then apply a couple extra coats of the primer and then proceed to painting them our matte black finish. Now again, you want nice even coverage over the entire thing, but you want to make sure when you're spraying, you're not spraying too heavily. you can always spray another coat. Just keep that in mind. Also, an easy way to make sure your hardware actually matches the finish that you're applying to the metal is poke them in a box and apply the finish to them prior to being on site, because you don't want to be in that position. Now, because these shelves are going to get plenty of use, I want to give a bit more added protection to this metal finish, which is why I'm going to be applying a clear coat finish over the top of the metal. This isn't something you have to do, but just adds a bit of extra protection overall. Now, once your metal is fully dried, go and proceed to installing your corbels onto your metal base plate. Now, this was actually quite easy. Just need to make sure that everything is spaced evenly. Just note that the corbel end in which the shelf is going to be resting on needs to be perfectly flush and level with the adjacent corbel, because if it's not, then the shelf is not going to lay right. If you're not doing a metal bracket, this does make it a bit simpler just because you do not have to worry about all 6 of the corbels lining up at the exact same areas and locations, but if you do your due diligence at this point, it makes things a breeze when actually installing these units on the wall. Or you know what also makes life a lot easier? A laser level. Yes, the laser level is definitely key, especially if you're trying to make sure that everything's lining up appropriately and position your holes correctly, as well as just having a second hand, because at this point, if you're doing this by yourself, it's going to be very difficult, especially with the fact that these shelves are on the larger, heavier side. Yeah, so just think about that, and thank you, Dad. Yeah. We couldn't fasten these shelves into studs, so we are using zip toggles to support the shelf itself. Now, these zip toggles are extremely strong, and if you've ever used them, they are a bit difficult, especially if you're trying to line up multiple at the same time, but they're the next best thing if you can't hit a stud and want proper support. Now, for attaching the shelf to the corbel, we are using JB Weld's epoxy, and this is a 2-part epoxy which is extremely easy to mix up and apply and dries very quickly. So it is extremely strong, and I definitely suggest using it in this type of application. And in the end, you have 2 incredible, beautiful looking mahogany shelf systems that really complement the area, and I must say working with mahogany was a delight in this application because I've never worked with it before, and it was a fun project. And in the end, I must say that is one beautiful, sexy beast of mahogany shelf. Oh yeah. And there you have it, episode number 48 of BYOT done. I really enjoyed this project from start to finish, and it was pretty unique because of the fact that I've never really combined wood and metal in this type of application, so I might just try and do it on a few other projects in the future. Yes, maybe. In any case, thank you for your time. Please like the video, please subscribe to this channel, and please check out my Instagram feed. I post there weekly. In any case, thank you for your time, and catch you next time. Note to self, always scuff the metal first prior to applying any type of primer or paint, because sometimes it just doesn't stick, especially when you use copious amounts of WD-40 prior to that. Yeah, that's rough. Oh well, we got it taken care of.